Welcome back to Galaxy Recaps. Today we'll be diving into an action thriller film titled Blue Ruin. Enjoy the recap. The story opens in a quiet home, the soft sound of running water echoing from the bathroom. A man named Dwight is soaking in the tub, his peace shattered when the family who lives there suddenly returns. Realizing he's been caught, Dwight scrambles to climb out of the window, completely naked, and escapes into the night. Seeking refuge, Dwight drifts to a nearby beach, scavenging for anything useful. His worn-out clothes and unkempt appearance hint at a life lived on the margins. It's clear he's homeless, surviving day by day, often sleeping in his rusted car. One morning, as Dwight stirs awake in the front seat of his car, a police cruiser pulls up beside him. Officer Eddie, a familiar face, steps out and gently asks him to come with her. At the station, she breaks the news. The man responsible for killing Dwight's parents is being released from prison. She hands him a newspaper with the headline confirming it. Dwight barely reacts, but the weight of the moment lingers as he leaves the station, drifting through the day in silence. The next morning, Dwight resumes his routine, swimming in the ocean to clean up before stopping at a gas station. His movements are deliberate. He purchases a map of Virginia, refuels his car, changes the battery and pumps the tires. Something's brewing. He's preparing for a long drive. He briefly eyes a handgun in a nearby shop, but the security cameras force him to reconsider. Instead, he buys a postcard, scribbles a brief message, and drops it into a mailbox before continuing down the road. As night falls, Dwight pulls over near a cluster of parked cars. After failing to find an unlocked door, frustration boils over. He smashes a window and grabs a box from inside. Inside is a pistol, his prize, but his clumsy attempts to remove the safety mechanism break the gun. Disappointed, he discards it and presses on. Dwight's journey leads him to a prison parking lot. He sits there, waiting and watching. This is the day. Across the lot, a car arrives carrying the family of the man who killed his parents. Dwight's gaze hardens as he watches the murderer step into the sunlight. Without hesitation, he tails their vehicle, his mind consumed by a singular purpose. Arriving at their home, Dwight wastes no time. He breaks in, navigating the unfamiliar space until he finds a hiding spot. From the shadows he watches, and when his target appears, Dwight strikes with cold precision. A brief struggle erupts, but Dwight gains the upper hand, stabbing the man until he collapses, lifeless. Breathing heavily, Dwight emerges from the bathroom, trying to blend into the silent house as if nothing happened. But his cover doesn't last long. Outside, he notices his hand bleeding and realizes something crucial. His car keys are gone. He left them in the bathroom. Panic rising, Dwight scrambles to another vehicle parked outside. Luck is on his side. The keys are inside. As he speeds away, the victim's family rushes out, but Dwight manages to slip into the night. However, his escape is far from clean. One of the tires is damaged, forcing him to slow down. Just as he pulls over to assess the damage, a faint noise from the trunk catches his attention. Moments later, the trunk pops open, and out steps a blood-covered man. Dwight watches as the bloodied man steps out of the trunk. Tense, Dwight asks if he hurt Wade. When Dwight confirms it, explaining that Wade killed his parents, the man responds with quiet disbelief, "I don't think he did," before bolting into the woods. With his tire blown out, Dwight abandons the car and treks through the forest until he spots a cluster of houses. One appears abandoned, a ghost house. Dwight slips inside, scavenging for supplies. In the dim light, he trims his overgrown hair, combs it, and finds fresh clothes. Switching on the TV, he flips through channels, searching for any mention of his crime. But the news is silent. Later, Dwight hitchhikes with a passing truck driver. The scene shifts to Sam, a woman heading to work, leaving her daughters with a babysitter. As she steps outside, she finds Dwight lingering on her front lawn. Their conversation leads them to a small diner where it becomes clear Sam is Dwight's sister. Over their meal, she asks if he needs money, but Dwight declines. He asks if she received the postcard he sent. She shakes her head. The two apologize for drifting apart over the years, and Sam reveals she now has 2 daughters. Then Dwight leans in and drops a bombshell. He killed Wade. Sam laughs, assuming he's joking. She mentions Wade's brother who runs a limousine service nearby. But Dwight realizes something unsettling. Wade's family hasn't called the police. His mood shifts and he urgently tells Sam they need to check on her daughters. They call the babysitter, but she doesn't answer. Racing home, they find the girls unharmed. Sam, frustrated by Dwight's panic, slaps him and throws him out. From the porch, Dwight pleads with her to leave town until he can settle things with the Clellans. Sam refuses. The car Dwight left at Wade's murder scene is registered to her address, but she's unwilling to uproot her life. Later, Dwight spends time with Sam's daughters, bonding with them until Sam returns. After a moment's hesitation, she agrees to leave. As she packs, she can't resist a parting shot. "I'd forgive you if you were crazy, but you're not. You're weak." Dwight stays behind, locking up the house and shutting off the lights as night falls. He sits in silence waiting for trouble. Upstairs, he rifles through old belongings until the rumble of a car draws him to the window. He spots at least 2 men parked outside. Moving quickly, Dwight flips on a light upstairs and lets the bathroom faucet run, making it seem like someone's awake. Armed with a pitchfork, he waits in the shadows. One man smashes a window while another lingers by the front door. Dwight quietly searches for the car keys, but the front door creaks open. Dropping to the ground, he crawls through the house and bolts for the door. Outside, he's spotted. Dwight sprints for the car, narrowly dodging a blast from a shotgun. The man at the door raises the weapon again, but Dwight knocks him unconscious. The second intruder fires a crossbow but misses. Seizing the shotgun, Dwight forces the second man to flee. As he thinks the danger has passed, Dwight hauls the unconscious intruder into the car, only to be shot in the leg by a hidden gunman. Despite the pain in his leg, Dwight wastes no time. He jumps into his car and speeds off, barely escaping with his life. As dawn breaks, he rifles through his captive's wallet, taking the cash and stashing the man's pistol. Gasping for breath, Dwight drags his unconscious prisoner from the car, throws him into the trunk and strips away his belongings. With the arrow still lodged deep in his leg, Dwight braces himself against the car, using the leverage to saw it off. Blood seeps from the wound, but he pushes forward, limping to a local convenience store. There, he buys supplies to patch himself up. In the back of his car, Dwight sterilizes a pair of pliers with alcohol. His hands tremble as he grips the arrow, preparing to pull it free. The pain proves unbearable. Overwhelmed, Dwight abandons the procedure and stumbles toward a nearby hospital, collapsing at the entrance. Hours later, he regains consciousness in a hospital bed, the wound neatly stitched by professionals. Wasting no time, Dwight slips out of the hospital, still wearing his gown. He returns to his car and raps on the trunk to check on his captive. The loud response confirms the man is still alive. Satisfied, Dwight drives off, eventually returning to Sam's house. He replaces the broken window, sweeps the glass from the floor, and disappears once more, this time to a remote and isolated spot. A breakthrough comes when his prisoner's phone rings. Dwight answers, discovering the other Cleland brother made it back and is asking for his siblings' whereabouts. Dwight takes this opportunity to visit his old neighborhood. He knocks on a familiar door, greeted by an elderly woman. After introducing himself, she invites him inside. Dwight inquires about his childhood friend, Ben, and learns he's moved away to join a band. The woman provides an address, and Dwight thanks her before leaving. Later, Dwight tracks Ben down at a club. After waiting outside, he spots his old friend. Ben is stunned. He thought Dwight was dead, having disappeared so suddenly from his life. Back at Ben's house, Dwight confesses he needs a serious favor. Without asking too many questions, Ben offers to help, asking whether Dwight needs a weapon for close quarters or long range. Dwight opts for close quarters, prompting Ben to hand him a Mini 14 rifle. Ben makes it clear he doesn't want to know the details, but as an old friend, he offers Dwight full privacy to deal with whatever he's wrapped up in. The next day, Dwight drives out to Ben's expansive 16-acre property. It's time to confront his prisoner. Popping the trunk, Dwight comes face to face with Teddy Cleland, Wade's brother. Dwight hands Teddy some water and lays out his options. He can turn himself in to the police, but Teddy smirks and dismisses the idea. He assures Dwight that the Cleland family won't let him off the hook so easily. As Dwight presses for more answers, Teddy drops a bombshell. Wade wasn't the one who killed Dwight's parents. It was their father, Big Wade. The truth spills out. Big Wade murdered Dwight's parents after discovering Dwight's father had been having an affair with his wife. Wade took the fall because their father was dying of cancer and they didn't want him to spend his last days in prison. Dwight, seething with betrayal and rage, forces Teddy to call his family to arrange a meeting. But as Dwight leans closer to listen, Teddy seizes his chance. In one swift move, he grabs the gun and overpowers Dwight. Teddy laughs, aiming the weapon at Dwight, taunting him just as Teddy gloats. A gunshot rings out. Teddy drops to the ground dead. From the bushes, Ben steps forward, rifle in hand. Dwight stares in shock and bursts into a wide grin. He had no idea Ben was watching his back. After cleaning up the scene, Ben takes Dwight to his property for some much-needed target practice. Ben hands him a more accurate gun and enough ammunition to prepare for whatever lies ahead. As they train, the two reminisce, sharing stories and laughter from the good old days. Ben understands Dwight's pain. Revenge for his parents is the only thing driving him forward. Before parting ways, they share a brotherly hug. Dwight heads off, radio humming as his car glides down quiet country roads. At a diner stop, he lets loose, jamming to the music, only to end up vomiting from the stress. Later, Dwight burns the last photograph he has of him and Ben, ensuring no link ties them together. Later, Dwight pulls his car behind a grove of trees, leaving the keys in the ignition. He steps out, steeling himself for the final showdown. The Cleland family's house looms ahead. After surveying the property, Dwight breaks the lock and steps inside. Heart pounding, he ascends the stairs, gun raised. Room after room, nothing. Even the garage is empty. Confused, Dwight combs through the house, discovering a stash of guns and a welcome home banner. Regret flickers across his face as he bags the firearms. Outside, he locates the grave of his parents' true killer, Big Wade. Dwight disposes of the guns and fortifies the house, preparing for nightfall. Hours pass in silence until boredom leads him to browse through the family's books. When dawn arrives, Dwight decides it's time to leave. He retrieves a shovel from his car and starts digging a grave for Teddy. Midway through, the faint sound of a ringing phone echoes from inside the house. Dwight hurries back, listening to a voicemail from the Clellans trying to reach Teddy. Calmly, he uses Teddy's phone to call them back, leaving a voicemail of his own. As darkness falls again, headlights cut through the driveway. The Clellans have arrived. Dwight hides, peering around a corner as the family listens to his message. His voice echoes through the house. Dwight confesses to killing Wade and Teddy, begging for the cycle of violence to end. But as the message ends, one of the men swears revenge, vowing to kill Teddy's sister. Dwight doesn't hesitate. A gunshot erupts, injuring the woman and killing the man. Teddy's mother pleads for mercy, distracting Dwight as her grandson sneaks up with a shotgun. The kid fires, striking Dwight but fails to finish him off. Wounded but alive, Dwight wrestles the gun away and aims his rifle at the boy. Bleeding heavily, Dwight orders the kid to leave. "Get in the car and go," he says, voice ragged but firm. The boy hesitates, then walks toward the parked car. Behind him, the remaining Clellans scramble for a weapon. Dwight fires, shots ringing out as the boy disappears down the road. In the silence that follows, Dwight slumps to the floor, breath shallow. The house, now a crime scene, stands eerily quiet. Only then does the truth of his journey surface. The postcard Dwight sent at the start was a farewell to his sister. He always knew he wouldn't survive this. The screen fades to black. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.